Hey everybody, it's Eric from epautos.com, your libertarian car guy. I wanted to do a follow-up to the article that I just published a little while ago, which is titled, "At Least He's Not a Communist," which I think is the sort of reduced to its fundamentals case for voting for Trump. That is, if you're not a communist. The problem, of course, is it's really not much of an alternative, is it? It's certainly not a free market, freedom-based alternative. And I'll give you a good example of it that ties in with the article that I published the other day, criticizing Trump for promising to slash the costs of car insurance, which everybody knows have gone up. He says he's going to slash them by half or something like that. I forgot what the figure is, but supposedly he's going to do this via some kind of executive edict or action, essentially put price controls on the insurance mafia. Now, I don't care for price controls almost as much as I don't care for the insurance mafia, but the thing I wanted to get at here is that once again Trump misses the point. The point is compulsion, the cost of compulsion, to put it more finely. The reason chiefly that car insurance costs so much is because we're not free to say no to it. And we're certainly not free to say no to these outrageous and unjustified premium increases. You've not had an accident, you've not had a claim filed against you, you've not even had a seatbelt ticket for years. And you open up that envelope and you find that all of a sudden your premium has been adjusted by 20%. Well, ordinarily, what would you do? You'd call them up and say, you know what, I'm not paying that. And if you don't bring the cost back down to what it was before, I'll cancel the policy. But they don't let you do that. You're forced, effectively, to hand over money to the insurance mafia because you can't legally operate a motor vehicle on the government's roads. And I'm very careful about language, and I use that term because that's exactly what it is. There's no such thing as the public anything. That's a rhetorical ruse to get people to think that, everything's in common and we can all use it. Yeah, you can use it under certain terms and conditions. You can use it, but the government controls it, and controlling something is a functional working definition of ownership. If you control something, you own it. A really good way to understand this is that in the old Soviet Union, technically, legally, nobody had any private property. Everything was Soviet state property. But Stalin enjoyed the use of lots of property. He controlled the Soviet regime. So therefore, he had dachas and he had Packard limousines and he had all the niceties that you'd like to have in this world. That's the way that it works. So circling back to this insurance business, the way to solve this problem is to say, look, nobody should be required to buy car insurance. It's an obnoxious concept. The argument is, people might drive without insurance, and they might cause harm. Well, of course they might cause harm. Anything might happen. I'm a pretty big guy. I'm 6'3" and 220-something pounds. If I throw a punch, I might hurt somebody. So should I have to have fist insurance? Because I might throw a punch. I might hurt somebody. How about guns? That's one that hits a little closer to home because this proposal has already been brought up. In order for you to legally possess a firearm, well, you better have insurance, which of course will make it extremely exorbitant to own a gun. The point is that people ought to be held accountable for harms and damages that they're responsible for. I absolutely endorse that. That's a moral position to take. If you injure somebody, you damage their property, well, morally and legally, really, you ought to be made to pay for what you did. But it is outrageous to make people pay for harms they didn't do and damages they didn't cause, which is fundamentally what this insurance racket is all about. By the way, most people, certainly me, I would buy insurance in a free market if the cost is commensurate with my very low risk and my responsible conduct. I have no problem with paying a small sum for an extremely unlikely possibility. Okay, that's what insurance is supposed to be for. And most people would pay, a couple $100 a year, let's say, to cover their vehicles against something like that. It's because it's a sensible thing to do. But people get understandably pissed when they're having to pay $1,500, $2,000 a year, for this coverage, which ends up costing them, half the cost of the car over time. So anyway, that's all I wanted to rant about on this bleary and foggy morning here in Southwest Virginia. More up at epautos.com. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'm glad you're back. I'm glad I'm back. I took a 4-year hiatus from YouTube and went over to Rumble, but I've decided to resume posting videos on YouTube just to see whether people are going to be able to see them over there. So anyway, if you're viewing it there, thanks for watching. If you're watching on Rumble, thanks for that. Hope to see you over at epautos.com, and we'll have more for you again soon.